Hey everybody, my favorite type of exercise, English into Greek. Let's tackle these right away. Both the exiles and the foreigners were staying in the same village. Well, this is going to be one of those tricky both and situations. We can just know that this is going to be a plural subject and start off at the end of the sentence with the part that we can do pretty easily. So we're staying in the same village. What's that stay verb? Well, this is coming from meno. And then meno, as some of you observed, had a weird future principal part, but for the imperfect, we're staying, this is going to be easy. So we have m, past indicative augment, we have our stem, and then we just need to make this third person plural, which is going to be on. Accent is recessive, so it goes back to the epsilon, emenon. We're staying in the same village. So n, te, dative with n, and then now we need to say the same village. So we're going to start writing down. That'll be our way to deal with this lack of space. Greeks would do the same thing. Te aute kome. So what have we done here? Well, we've sandwiched a form of autos in between the article and the noun, and this is the attributive use of autos. We made sure that autos agrees with te come in case number gender, which it does, dative feminine singular, which we have the dative because it's part of this prepositional phrase, so we're remaining in the same village. Great. So now we need to say both the exiles and the foreigners. Well, we've had foreigners in earlier chapters. That's the barbarian word, right? And the accent there goes on that initial alpha, barbaros. And then exiles, this is going to be new. It's actually coming from the verb felgo, to flee, and the word is fugas. It's not Fugazi, that's a great band, but that's not what we're talking about here. Simply fugas, accent on the alpha sigma, and then the genitive singular, which of course we need to be able to interpret this, is fugados. So we have a delta stem ending in delta. So we need to make this nominative plural. Kind of remember our chart, and we write our stem, and then we add our nominative plural third declension ending, epsilon sigma. Fugades, the exiles, or just exiles simply. So now let's write that out. We have hoi fugades, and then hoi barbaroi, to make it plural. So we could do simply the exiles and the barbarians were remaining in the city, but that's not enough. We need to emphasize that we're talking about both. So remember, we had 4 ways to do that. We had kai, so I'm going to say that, well, the end of our sentence is going to be the same no matter what. Let's do some different flavors of the beginning of the sentence. So first with kai kai, and then we could also do something with te kai. And remember that te being enclitic can't go first, and it will add an accent to that otherwise unaccented proclitic article. So hoi te fugades. And this te is signaling this both, that we're going to have another thing coming up, fulfilled by that kai. So, and I'm just going to start, especially for barbaroi, which is an old vocab word, just write the initial. So, hoi te fugades kai hoi barbaroi, emenon en te aute kome. So that's number 2. What's the third way we can do it? Well, we can also move this te close to that kai. So we lose it here. We just have, as we always have, whereas we had in example 1, that's hardly always. Hoi fugades, the exiles. Te kai, and that te kind of gives the sense of both. It intensifies this kai. And the barbarians, the foreigners, were remaining in the city. And then finally, number 4, people remember how to do this one. We have hoi te, fugades like number 2. And then we have hoi te barbaroi over here. So here we actually double up on the te. So kai kai, te kai closer together, and te. Those are our 4 ways of expressing both the exiles and the foreigners were staying in the same village. So fortunately, you only need to provide one of those on any quiz or exam, but I want to show that we've got a lot of options here. Greek is rich in its both and expressions. All right, well, we'll continue this color rainbow and do some blue. Some admire money, others wisdom. So remember, when we have the some and others, or maybe some phrase, this will be ahoy plus a men, and then ahoy plus a de. This is all very non-feminist progressive. There's no reason that we couldn't make it high men and high de, and just say, you know, as you might use she as a pronoun for generic, we could do that here too. Greeks never did that. Greeks didn't care. Greeks were jerks, misogynists, you name it. They did hoi for this sort of thing if they were talking about people generally, because they were more focused on the men, frankly. So some admire money, others wisdom. So hoi men, some, and then we need both the verbs for admire, or the verb for admire at least once, and then nouns for wisdom and money. So wisdom is an old one. So theon in the accusative, and we could add that tain, that article. Even though we don't say the wisdom in English, we know that Greek like to use the article with these kind of abstract things. But what's the word for money? This is new. Well, I should say new-ish, because we actually had it in chapter 8 when we were learning nouns that of the third declension that were neuter and ended in T, like soma, and then here we had krema. So let us do, krema in the nominative. So let's do a couple things. Let's do a quick, borrow some space from some real estate from number 8, and decline krema. So we have krema, not krera, sorry, krema. And the accent is on this syllable, which means we're going to get a circumflex there, krema. And then the genitive singular, as I just kind of explained, krematos, and then that becomes just an acute accent. And then when we move into the dative singular, we'll have kremati, and then in the accusative singular, we'll get this kremata, okay? Well, we would get kremata if this were a masculine or feminine noun, but it's not. It's neuter, so we also need to know that. We could just know the nominative and the genitive. We needed to know that this was krematos ta. So then we're just dealing with the same thing. Accusative is going to look like the nominative as always in neuter, so krema. Good, let's move to the plural. So here we get kremata, and then let's make the plural genitive, krematon. This is long, so this moves the accent from the antepenult to the ultima. And then when we get to the dative plural, we're to something where we would have had kremat si or sin, but we know that ta plus sigma, dental plus sigma, equals just a sigma. So that's what we're working with here. Let's come in and erase that. Let's erase that whole end. Then we have kremasi, maybe kremasin, and then in the accusative, it's going to look just like the nominative, kremata. So krema really just means thing. But when we talk about things, plural, that's how the Greeks refer to money. I should make a note. I was going to this academic conference for classics events. This was in San Diego, and this Nissan Xterra drove by. It was one of those kind of SUVs, bright yellow, completely kind of, I think it had spinning rims. It was pretty tricked out. I saw the license plate, and it was English, or, it was a California license plate, so there's only so much it could do. So it was XPHMATA. So XPHMATA, what does that mean? Well, for an ancient Greek, if we were to write this in the lowercase, pretty smart, huh? Kremata. The license plate literally said money in ancient Greek. I hope through these videos on YouTube that I can get connected. It might have not been an Xterra, but it was an impressive looking yellow SUV. And I thought that was the best license plate I'd ever seen. So some admire money, others wisdom. So let's so we've got money now. We can put that down, and this will be in the accusative, but that equals the nominative, so kremata. Now what's admire? Well, that comes from our most recent chapter. This is chapter 9 vocabulary, top left of page 50, and it is thaumazo in the first person, I admire. So we need to just make this third person plural. So I need to make it a little smaller so we can fit it in here. So thaumazusi. Thaumazusi. Some admire money, others wisdom. So we can just have kremata here because it's not really abstract. We could maybe put a ta in front of it. And Greeks loved parallelism so much that they might just kind of make sure that they had the same thing on both sides. Leave out that tain here. If we just had kremata over here, we might just have sophion over there on the right. So again, and the Greeks would use hoimen rather than hymen, unless hymen was referring exclusively to a group of women. If it was mixed company, they'll use hoi. Good. Next sentence. The goddess herself ordered the army to honor them. Well, we don't know who that them are, but we'll get to that. So the goddess herself, how are we going to do that? So we have heithea, and now we're going to add that intensifying use of autos. Then we need to make it not masculine singular nominative, but feminine singular nominative. So simply aute. So the goddess herself ordered. It's going to be what? Aorist. I didn't know I could do that. That's pretty cool. Do a little dance around. All right, get that pointing back at Polaris. Get my right function here. Oh, the joys of working in Photoshop. So Ekelusa, the goddess herself ordered. Sorry, that's I ordered. I almost brought back that compass. Ekeluse /n. We'll see if we need that new movable. The army. So we're going to have an article. We're not going to need that movable. Ordered the army. So tain, stration. To honor. So that honor word that we had was therapeuo. But this is going to be the infinitive, so therapeuein, and then them. Well, it really depends on context. We know that this is plural. We know that it needs to be the accusative object of therapeuo or therapeuein. But is it masculine or feminine? English doesn't give us any clue, so let's do both. If it were masculine, it would be autus, and if it's feminine, if we're supposed to be admiring women, it would be autas, long alpha. So the goddess herself ordered aorist, and this starts a kind of clause, phrase of ordering, in which the accusative stration becomes effectively the subject of the infinitive therapeuein, so maybe say command, subject, and then command, verb, and then we have our command object. And so we have both an accusative here and here. How do we know which one is the subject and the object in a language where word order is flexible? Well, the answer is, in these indirect kind of commands, word order is not flexible, and we need to have subject, verb, direct object, just as in English. So this has to be the subject because it precedes the verb, therapeuein. We could also maybe have subject, direct, object, verb, but really the subject comes first. That's what's important. Subject first. Some languages, just as a rule, would put the direct object first. Very few of those are Indo-European. We don't come across them, but there are languages that tend to prefer direct objects before subjects. Little tidbit for you. I have no idea which languages those are. I just remember learning in graduate school that they existed. That's enough. All right. Oh, I forgot my period there. Full stop. Either the girls or the young men will sacrifice to the goddess. Nice. How are we going to do this either or? Well, remember we're going to use this connector A, which when you duplicate it, when you have either, it becomes either or. So the girls, what's the word for girls? Well, we have the word for child now, so that's what we're going to use. We're going to use pais, word for child, plus a feminine article high. So this is great. High is right. We just need to find a way to turn pais into nominative plural feminine. So we have to know that it's from pais, paidos, Note that the accent goes to the second syllable of the genitive, as often on these monosyllabic third declensions. And then that could either be ha or hey. Here we are dealing exclusively with hey. I should be using pink, but that doesn't matter. So we have pied as our root. That's what that exercise was about. But then we just tag on our normal third declension nominative plural masculine feminine ending, piedus. And then the accent goes back here. It will be a circumflex because that's a short epsilon, always short. So either the girls or the young men, which we've known how to do for a while now. So hoi, nea, niai, first declension masculine, will sacrifice to the goddess. So what's our subject? Well, we could either say it's just the girls or just the boy or young men, but really it's the whole thing, and either way it's third person plural. So will sacrifice. So thuo is I sacrifice. We need to make this future. The second principal part has that sigma, and then that's I will sacrifice. And then we need to make it third person plural. Usi, the new movable. So thus usi, thususi, pretty fun to say, will sacrifice to the goddess. So that's going to be a dative of indirect object or dative of interest maybe. So we just do this. Because of that tall, we can drop the new movable, sacrifice to the goddess. Just like that. Either the young or the girls or the young men will sacrifice to the goddess. Excellent. Last one. The soldiers trust neither their shields, nor their helmets. So I said I doubled up the there, but we know that we don't have these possessive pronouns yet in Greek anyway, and we're just going to be using the articles probably in both cases. I think English, it would just be redundant to repeat that. Greek would probably prefer that you use the article in both cases. So the soldiers, let's start off with that. Hoi, stratio, remember it's tes in the singular, but then tai in the plural. That's a short diphthong at the end of a word when there's nothing beyond it. So hoi stratiotai, the soldiers trust. Present tense. Bestowusi. And then we're going to probably need that new because we need to say, well, maybe not, neither their shields nor their helmets. So how do we do neither nor in Greek? We did that with ute, and remember that that's just u, the proclitic, plus te, the enclitic. And when that happens, you get an acute accent on that last syllable of the word that precedes the enclitic. Now it's just become one kind of permanently accented word, ute. So these soldiers trust neither their shields. So let's start off with, well, what is shield? New vocabulary word. Aspis, and then aspidos, hey, feminine. And the accent will want to stay on that iota. So we need the dative plural form. So nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and let's make this our singular category, and plural over here. Let's try to do this whole third declension, dental, ending with D in the stem, noun. So then for our dative singular, we'll just have simply aspidi, and then for our accusative singular, aspida. That's a short alpha, that's a short iota. Doesn't really affect our accentuation here. Let's move to the plural. So we'll have aspides, aspidone, and then here we are. So we'll have as, and then we would have pid, c, or sin, but remember that delta plus sigma is going to just equal sigma. So we can come in here, erase that delta. Well, let's erase the whole thing. Rewrite it from the scratch. Aspis, C, or in. Accent right there. And then by the time we also finally get to the accusative plural, this is going to be just as we're used to, a short alpha sigma. So aspidas. Good. So aspici is what we need. So neither there, tais feminine, aspici, ute, So because that's a vowel, we will need that new movable. Nor their helmets. So what again is the word for helmet? Well, I'll do that in a different color. That's going to be up here at the top right. We'll do chorus in the nominative, and then choruthos in the genitive, and then helmet also is feminine, and then the accent on both is on the omicron. So let's get back to the kind of pink color here. So nor their helmets. So again, Tice, and then the helmet is going to be Koruth C or sin, but then again that theta before the sigma is just going to be simply Korusen or Korusen. So hoi stratiotai pisteusi utatais aspici utatais Korusen. The soldiers trust neither their shields nor their helmets. Maybe we could remove that, but I think it belongs. Good exercises. See you in chapter 10. Take care.